Hey everybody, so welcome back to Jim Bob's Garden. So I got into a little spat last night on the internet, figure the odds. I'm in a bunch of groups online, gardening groups and so on, and I listen to what people say and I try and put my 2 cents where I think that I might have some knowledge. But one of the things that has been a reoccurring theme about gardening is, one, it costs way too much. It's cheaper to buy groceries at the store. That's just ridiculous. I mean, it can. I mean, if you want to go set up a setup like what I've got here with the fences and the rails and the raised beds, yeah, it's going to cost you some money. But you don't have to do that. Take a look at this garden here. Now, I do have a rototiller. You can look back over here. I got me a little $200 rototiller, which died today. Of course, right? Figured it out. Anyway, but I want you to know you don't need one. So, basically what I've done with this garden, now I'd already tilled it up, but I just went through it and just used my fork here, turned the dirt over. I didn't add any fertilizer. All I added was compost. Now there's advantages to doing it with a fork rather than a rototiller. One, you're not going to kill worms. I mean, you might kill 1 or 2, but any kind of worms or life that's in the soil will survive much better with a fork than it will with a rototiller. But it's harder. It takes more time. It's a lot more labor intensive. But if you got the time, you don't have to spend the money on a rototiller. All right, it's completely doable. People have been doing this for thousands of years with sticks and rocks. I mean, growing a garden is not that hard. All right, and so what do I do with this? I'm going to take my rake. I'm going to smooth out the garden. Oh, or not. So as we're doing this, one of the things I think that people misunderstand is I think that people get competitive. I think that they are like, well, yeah, maybe you can grow a garden that way, but your garden won't be as good as mine. And I'm, well, okay, I'll give you that. Maybe my garden won't be as good as yours. But is it really a competition? I mean, really, who are we competing with here? Do I need to have produce that looks like a store? No. It doesn't have to look like store-bought produce. All right, my garden is mine. As long as I can eat it, it tastes good, which usually homegrown food does taste so much better, then who am I upset with? The other thing, I'm going to tell you a secret to life here. All right, so if you have been paying attention, let me give you a major secret to life, okay? The person you're competing with is not your neighbor. It's yourself. All right, when I do things, it has nothing to do with can I hit a ball farther, or can I grow a better vegetable, or can I, shoot a better game of pool against my opponent. It's against me. Can I make that shot? Can I hit that golf ball where I want it to go? Can I grow a vegetable that tastes good and I'm willing to eat? The competition is with yourself. You don't have to compete with everybody else. Now, if you want to, by all means, go buy you a bunch of fertilizer, go buy a bunch of tools, go buy raised beds, go buy the things that you want to do. But if you don't want to do that, you don't have to do it. It's very simple. You dig up the dirt, and then let me show you how I do this. All right, give me 1 second. So, I was going to use my hoe to dig a trough, but the lizard doesn't want to go. I think he thinks it's his house. I'm like, no. There we go. All right. You can come back and rest on it here in a little bit. All right. So all I'm going to do, I'm going to kind of space this out a little bit, so I got an idea of about how far I want it in. You don't even need a measuring tape. Look, you can just use your foot. Now I'm going to dig me a little trough, about 1 inch deep. Doesn't even have to be straight. You just need that 1 inch of coverage of soil over the top. So we'll dig 3 of them. It's going to be about down the middle. plus or minus a few. Now I did throw some compost in here, which again, you don't have to buy fertilizer. You can make your own compost, completely free of charge. Works like a champ. That's all I ever use here is just compost. Now one thing I will advise is if you live anywhere where there's wildlife, is to build some kind of fence. Wildlife tends to love tender young plants. And if you look at been watching my channel for a while, you know the struggles I had last year with corn because the stinking geese came in, and my wheat too. The stinking geese came in and ate it all up. Alright, so give me 1 second. So if y'all been watching my channel, you know the struggles I've had with corn over the last, I don't know, 5 years. Between the animals, one thing and another, corn has been my nemesis for a while. But again, I'm just trying to show you how easy it is to grow food. Alright, so dig yourself a garden, dig a trough in the garden, and then take your seeds and sprinkle your seeds in the garden, and then cover it up. And it really is as simple as that. Now one of the things this guy online was trying to tell me is, you need to do research, and you need to do this, and you need to have fertilizer, you need to have your soil tested. Now you can get all that done, but none of that is a requirement. Alright, we have the most information available to the average person that we have ever had in the history of the world. And yeah, it would be somewhat foolish not to utilize that information. But you don't have to have that information. You don't have to have 50 different books. You don't have to do anything that these conventional wisdom experts will tell you is required. People have been growing food literally for thousands and thousands of years. You dig up the soil, you throw in some seeds, you put some water on the seeds, and food will grow. Now if you got fertilizer, fertilizer helps. If you add fertilizer to your crops and to your fields, you will probably grow bigger, stronger vegetables. Probably. That's no guarantee. But you more than likely will grow a bigger, stronger yield. The problem with that is that these fertilizers cause problems. First and most important problem is they cause you a problem in your wallet. I think the last time I saw ears of corn were like 25 cents each. If I get, well, this is about 10 foot, so let's just say I got 20, 30, 40, let's say I got 50 corn stalks here. Alright? And, well, just to make the math easier, let's say out of that I get, basically I'm going to get like maybe 30, 40 bucks of corn. Tops. If I have a bountiful harvest. So is the effort and the seed and everything else worth it? Yeah, if all I do is just throw seed in the ground with a little bit of free compost and some tools that I already had. But if I go out and spend $500 to grow $30 worth of corn, it's kind of counterproductive in my opinion. It just doesn't seem smart. Alright? So, is gardening expensive? Only if you want it to be. Is gardening difficult? Well, I mean, it takes a bit of labor. I'm not going to lie to you about that. Takes a little bit of planning. Alright? But do you need to do research, and you don't need to do anything other than water it. That's the biggest thing. Make sure you got water on it. But dig yourself a hole, throw some seeds in it, throw some water on it, and you're a gardener. Now, will you be winning championships that way? Well, I guess it all depends on the fertility of your dirt. If you have naturally fertile soil with lots of nutrients in it, you might. I mean, I can't tell you that. I don't know. But I guarantee you, out of this batch of corn, I will get some corn. Well, okay, I shouldn't say that about corn, because corn hates me. I don't know why. Corn just hates me. All right. Here, I think it's a Jacksonville thing. But I really want to tell you that it's just not that hard, okay? Now, if you're trying to grow a championship garden, you're trying to outperform your friends, make them look bad, you know, that's when you might want to have to spend some money. Go out and buy you some compost, maybe, some fertilizer. But I will tell you that I really wish people would not use fertilizer, because it's jacking up our ocean. Right now, the manatees and several other species of fish are having difficulties because of fertilizer. The fertilizer is causing a jacked up ecosystem, and like the manatees, they survive on seagrass, and the seagrass is dying out because the changes in the acidity of the ocean, I believe, is what the cause is. And all of that comes back directly to fertilizer. A lot of species are having difficulties, bees in particular, because of pesticides. And I'm not trying to tell you you need to be concerned about these things. I am. You can do what you want. If you're asking me, though, I would say, yeah, stop using fertilizer. Use compost. I have a ton of compost. I'm always making more. If you're asking me, should I use fertilizer? No. If you're asking me, should I use pesticides? No. Now, does that mean my garden gets attacked by pests? Yeah, it gets attacked by pests. And I will probably lose a good amount of my produce to pests each year. But I still get enough to feed my family, right? And that's the key. Would I get more? Yeah, but you know, more is not necessarily better, depending on the cost of what that more is. All right, and the costs are really starting to stack up, and are really starting to make changes that I don't know that we want to have. All right, so basic gardening. All right, how to start and how to grow a basic garden. Dig yourself a spot. I don't care, wherever. It needs to have some sun. Does it need to be north and south, or does it need to be east and west? It doesn't matter. All right, it really doesn't. I mean, you can see my beds over here, and I've got them pointing every which way, north and south, east and west, and everything grows fine. You do have to pay attention to what's going to get shaded. All right, so, you know, like right now, because you can see my shadow is pointing north, so things that are tall on the south side of things are going to shade things that are north of that row of vegetables, for example. Now, you can plan for that and utilize that to your benefit. And the same thing with the north and south beds. You can plant stuff on the west side of the bed to shade tender things from the afternoon sun. But you can do that on an east and west bed also. You know, it's just your planning and how you go about doing it. What can be planted next to what? I mean, there are a ton of books out there, but I will tell you, there's very few things that just will not grow next to something else. Stick it in the garden, see what happens. You'll learn from experience. Will you fail? Oh, most assuredly. You're going to fail at something. Something's just not going to want to grow for you. But the bottom line is, dig a hole, put some seed in it, throw water on the hole, and before you know it, you'll have food. All right? That's really all there is to gardening. I've even seen some like apocalyptic shows where everybody's like, oh man, he's a gardener, he knows how to grow food. That's a great guy to have. Dude, everybody should know how to grow food. Dig a hole, put a seed in it, and water it. It's as simple as that. Alright, anyway, enough about that. If you're the guy online that was talking to me, or girl, I can't even remember, about how you got to do research, I disagree. I really do. And as for rainbows and unicorns flying out of my butt, Yeah, that hadn't happened yet either. That was a comment he made. But at any rate, it really is as simple as that, okay? So, you want to grow a garden, dig you a hole, put some seeds in it. The more holes you have, the bigger your garden is, the more seeds you can put in. And just throw them in and start watering it, and it'll grow. If you want to do more, you want to start looking at, you know, really fancy stuff. And that's the other thing too. So, apple trees. Apple trees don't grow great in Jacksonville, all right? If you want to grow apples in Jacksonville, you can do it, but you got to do some things. You got to do some extra things. If you want to grow citrus, for example, like this, well, actually, kumquat's not a great example because it'll grow just about anywhere. But like my loquat trees behind me, I don't think they'll grow up north. Now, if you put them in a pot and do some extra things, yeah, you can probably grow them up north. But one of the other things you need to know is you need to find out what grows well in the area that you're in, which is easy enough. Just ask other people that are gardening. All right, what grows well here? You can find that information online. A little bit of research can save you a lot of time and effort, but you don't have to do that research either. The idea that you need to spend hours and hours and days planning and researching your garden is just ridiculous. It's not that hard, guys. Just figure out a spot, dig it up, put some seeds in a row, cover the seeds back up, and water it. That's all there really is to growing a garden. Alright, I'll let you go after that. I don't want to keep beating a dead horse, but thank you once again for stopping by. Do me a favor, like and subscribe, let me know what you think, and most importantly, grow something. It's just not that hard.